Hey guys, happy Saturday. Today I want to go through the entire process of how I like to make my pizza dough, and we're going to go from basically from start to finish, making the dough, letting it rest, and then all the way to taking it onto the big green egg and cooking it and everything in between. I kind of seen this question a lot. A lot of people didn't know how to make the dough properly, or I was surprised to know actually that a lot of people they're just buying their own, or they're buying store-bought dough versus making their own. And I find that quite surprising because it's just so easy to make your own. I think it's a lot easier to work with, and I think I have a lot better results when I just make my own dough. I know what's going into it, and I can get a lot more consistency when I take it onto the egg. I'm not getting the burning and everything like that, and I'm getting nice crust and everything that you want. So that's where this idea came from. I think that there's not enough videos out there about doing this, so let's just get started here. First thing I like to do is just take my big bowl, stainless steel bowl, and then we're gonna run just all-purpose flour today. You can go with a bit of 0-0 flour as well, but the all-purpose works fine too. I can't always find the 0-0, which is usually meant for bread making or pizza dough making and stuff like that, but this works just fine based on the recipe that I've got going on. Another thing is too, I've seen, you can weigh it and whatnot, but I don't have a scale. I've been doing this, I've done this probably 50 times, where I'm just going with the cup, and that seems to work out pretty good for me. Sometimes you gotta add a little bit more just to get the texture right when we're mixing it, but other than that, once you got an eye for this, you can really tell where it needs to be, what the texture is and everything. So what we're doing here, we're just adding 4 cups, roughly kind of packed in there, 4 cups of all-purpose flour. And then sift it a bit there. Put the flour aside, and then what I like to do next is I'm gonna grab the salt. So for the salt, we're gonna go just 1.5 teaspoons-ish, whatever. I'm using sea salt, and then we'll give that a quick stir up there. Okay, so now we've got that. So now the most important thing here is the water and the yeast. That is very key to making this work out. So I'm gonna do 2 cups of water. So I'm just using cold tap water, and then what we're gonna do is throw it in the microwave quickly here. So I'll throw it in the microwave, usually it goes just like a minute, and then I'll start checking it. So what you want is about 110 degrees for your water. So that seems to be, for me, the ideal temperature to get your yeast to activate properly. So we'll just wait for that to go down for 30 seconds and then microwave here. And now this, like I said, this is probably the most important part with the yeast. You gotta get this right. So what we do is you want it like right there, 110. Obviously it's actually kind of going down. So even give it a little stir. Just kind of get that water moved around, and you can kind of get a more true temperature with your Thermapen. So we're pretty much right there, 108. I like that. Anywhere in between, I would say around these numbers, you're going to be happy. Your yeast is going to activate. So the next thing you do is you want to get your sugar in there. This helps the yeast activate as well. So we'll do that. Give it a quick stir. And then we'll grab a clean teaspoon, this one that's dry here. And we're gonna go 1.5 teaspoons of this. You just kind of sprinkle it on there gently. that sit for about 10 minutes. So we're gonna do that. I'll take a quick break here, let this set up, and then once it's nice and foamy, I'll show you guys how that looks. And then that's when we can start mixing all our flour and all of this together, and then we'll move on to the next step from there. Okay, so we're back. It's been about 10 minutes. Like I said, we're just getting this yeast activated. So this is basically what you want right here. This is nice and foamy, it's active, it's happy, it's good to go. So just in case I didn't cover it properly, that's 2 cups of water, 1.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast, and 1 teaspoon of just a regular sugar. So all that in there, water at 110 degrees. This was around 108. This one works fine. So now we can go ahead. We have our 4 cups of flour and our 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of salt in there. You just make a little hole in the middle of the bowl there, and then you can dump it all in. So another thing I like to do is I just keep a little bit of extra virgin olive oil on hand, and I don't have a mixer or anything like that. I'm pretty doing it basic over here, just all by hand. So what you do, take your spatula and you can just dip that in a bit of oil. And the reason I like doing that is because then it doesn't stick to the spatula as much when you're trying to mix it. And then we're gonna do the same thing with our hands actually. Once we start mixing it by hand, throw a little oil on there. It doesn't stick to your hands as bad. It's a much easier thing to do it like that with the oil. So we'll go ahead and we'll add this in. Another thing I like to do is just keep a bit of flour on the side here, just because I'm not scaling it with, or measuring it with a scale. Usually you do have to add a bit of flour in between. So we can go ahead and mix it now. Just giving this a good stir. Get it sort of started here. And then see how because I've oiled it, it won't stick on there as much. Okay, so that's that. So now, like I said, I will oil my hands because that is going to help us as well to keep it from sticking. So you just dump a little on your hands, kind of rub it in, and then we're good to go. And then I'm just mixing this by hand, kneading it up. Basically just want to get it to a decent consistency in a ball, and then we can move it to the board here in a second. Kind of like that. So we'll set this bowl aside. We're going to need that in a minute too. Just kneading this by hand and just kind of grabbing it and pinching it kind of thing, and you'll see that it starts to mix in pretty good, and this is where we're going to want that extra flour. Once it starts sticking a bit, we'll just a tiny bit. We don't need a lot. We got a decent consistency going right now. So basically we're just going to do this for, I'd say, under a couple minutes for sure, but bit of a workout. It's all right though. You're just rolling it, you grab it, and then you push it over itself. And that seems to be the best method for me to get it actually nice and smooth the way it's going right now. You just keep working it. pretty close. Okay, so that's looking pretty good right there actually. What you want to do is you just fold the bottom. You just fold it into itself, right? So then you're left with that. You don't have any seams anywhere. You just have it folded over just like that. Okay, so now that bowl that I have that we just mixed in, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place this just back in here. It's floured still lightly, so that's gonna go in there, and then we're gonna seal it up with the lid for half an hour. Okay, so I'll throw a timer on half an hour, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna re-knead it again and split it into 3 pieces, and then that's when we do our final rest. So really, that's basically it for mixing it. Like, this is it's nothing to it at all. You got to get all the yeast and everything right. The temperature has to be right, and you just want to have the right consistency when you throw it in the bowl here. So be back in half an hour. Might need a new lid. This one's not really working. Alrighty guys, we're back. It's been 30 minutes. So the dough's been resting in here in this sealed bowl. So now we can go ahead and pull it out of the bowl. It's risen a little bit. You're gonna see the rise more in the next step here, but this is more just to kind of give the yeast a chance to kind of settle down after we've kneaded it there by hand like that. So now what we're gonna do is just lightly, you have to be pretty gentle with this. You don't want to squeeze it or anything too much. I mean, you can already feel that the texture is more, I would say silky, and it's quite pliable now compared to just when I put it in the bowl beforehand there. So what we're gonna do is just try and get a nice equal kind of ball going on here, just like that, right? And then we're gonna take a knife and we're gonna, this recipe that I'm doing makes 3, I guess you would call them like maybe a medium to large size pizza. Basically they'll fit on a pizza stone for the large egg nicely. So what I like to do is just kind of score it, just to kind of get an idea of, you know, what we're gonna consider to be this to turn it into 3/3 basically, right? So then we got our shapes there. Those are about 3 equal dough balls we're gonna have. Like I said, just try and be gentle with it. You don't wanna be squeezing it or screwing around with it too much at all. So we'll leave those for a sec. And then now what I like to do is take a glass Pyrex dish like this, take a bit of that oil that I had in the bowl there from before. Don't need much. I like to do it in 2 because when you have all 3 of them in one, if they expand too much, it's just kind of a pain to get them apart. I find putting 2 in here is kind of the happy number. So if you got 2 of these dishes, you're better off. Give them a little bit more space to rise and everything. Set that one aside. Just taking our paper towel here, and we are just kind of rubbing it around. This one's got a bit too much oil in there. Okay, so we got that. So now what we're going to do is take one of our dough balls, and so you have your 2 cut edges here, right? So what you're gonna do is kind of the same thing as I said before. You wanna fold it so that the bottom has the where all the folds are going, basically. You don't want any creases or anything like that. You just want it a nice ball of dough, just like that. Okay, so that's one. And then same thing, like I said, creases, you just fold it over, fold it over. Be very gentle with it. You don't want to squeeze it or anything too much. That's the best way to go about this for getting a nice rise. That one, and then our final one, same thing. that's it. So basically, yeah, you have all your folds on the bottom like that. That's all you want. Perfect. Here until we rest is we're going to take our plastic wrap and we want to seal this up. You have to make sure this is sealed up nicely. And that's it. So like I said, just make sure it's sealed good, and then we're going to let these rest. I just usually leave them on the stove top there. Just enough. So now that we have them sealed in the glass Pyrex dish, what we want to do is just leave it alone. We're going to stick it on the countertop here. I find a happy number. It usually used to go 4 hours, but now I'm finding the happy number to be 2.5 to 3 hours. That's where I find it's the easiest to work with at that point. So it's 1 o'clock now, so yeah, like, you know, probably around 3:30, 4 o'clock, we'll get the egg going. I'll go through all that as well with you guys, and from there I'll show you how I'm prepping it up, doing all that, and then bringing it over to the egg, and how I'm cooking it on the egg, my egg setup on pizza, everything like that. We're gonna go through it all. So that's it for now. Like I said, we'll be back 2.5, 3 hours. I'll see you then. All right, guys, so we're outside now. We're ready to get the large screen egg going for these pizzas. So we're just gonna quickly go through how I'm lighting the egg, how I'm setting it up, all that stuff. So we'll just get into that now. This thing's probably frozen shut. Yeah, the vent, which is fine. It is absolutely freezing here, so we're okay with that. We'll deal with that in a minute. So let's turn the camera there. So I got the expander here, so we're just going to pull that out for now. And then I have some leftover charcoal in here. So we're just going to make a little cavity basically, and that's where we're going to light it up. So let's see if I can just set this up for you guys. Let's see what we're doing. So I like doing it like this with the oil, a little bit of paper towel. Basically just dipping it in the oil. Don't want too much on there. And then we're just taking this, laying it in here like that. Okay. I've got the bottom vent wide open. The egg there. And then we got our torch, which I don't even know if this is gonna work because it's so cold. I left it outside. It's a mistake. There we go. It's all right. So we just want to light it on the tips, and then right in the middle, light her up as well. Just like that. And then what we do, shut that torch off. And we just kind of hand place some of these pieces of charcoal just loosely over the paper towel that we just lit. Just like that. Okay. And then I have my egg, my big green egg, Canadian maple charcoal here. This is what I love using. It's great stuff. So we're just gonna dump some of that on. Not that much, probably maybe we'll do a little more. All right, spread that out a bit. Okay, so now we got that. As you can see, kind of filled up just below the fire ring line. So that's what we want. So we're gonna basically have this lit for maybe about 45 minutes. We're not gonna go crazy with the heat. We're just gonna kind of get a nice clean fire going, burning consistently. And then from there, that's when we're gonna open up the vents again, kind of get dialed in, set up the pizza stone and all that, get that preheated. And then we'll start making our pizzas. So, all right, so the egg's been rolling there for a few minutes, getting lit up. We've got a nice little fire going now. Big green egg, Canadian maple charcoal. It smells great. I like the maple. It's nice. It's really mild. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take the section here with the expander, plate setter, and the 2 grates like this. And we're just gonna place those back into the egg. Okay, so now what I'm gonna go do is we're gonna grab the plate setter from my Mini Max. If you don't have a Mini Max, you can use bricks or whatever. But basically you want the this little height of the leg there. That seems to be a pretty happy height, especially my large egg. It seems to be the perfect height for putting your pizza stone on. Okay, so I like to set it up like that, kind of keep it in line with the plate setter below. And then we'll grab our pizza stone. So we have the, this is a Big Green Egg brand pizza stone. This stone specifically, it can retain the heat, or it can handle the heat more than a lot of other cheaper stones. I see people using them and they shatter or whatever. They're just not meant for the heat of the egg. Whereas this one, this ceramic, it's thick, it's good. They've obviously tested it at Big Green Egg, and they know that that's going to be able to handle the high heat that we're going to be doing to get these pizzas where we want them. So that's it. That's how I set it up. Plate setter with the expander. If you don't have an expander, it doesn't matter. You just need the plate setter, the grate, your little bit of a riser. Like I said, I'm using the Mini Max pizza stone, or Mini Max plate setter, and then the pizza stone right on top. So now we're gonna shut it down. Still have this issue with the lid being frozen, but oh, there we go. It's good now. So we're gonna open that up. We're gonna open it up quite a bit. I probably want to keep this sitting around like 450, 500 right now. So just get that bottom vent. It was open, but you want to have the screen closed now because we got that fire in there. It's a bit safer that way with the screen from any sparks or anything flying out. So basically we just want to get this kind of running clean. Don't want any smoke coming out. And like I said, we'll keep it around 450, 500 for now. And then when the pizzas are ready to go on, we're gonna probably even just take the top right off and just let the thing rip. Usually I like doing around 550, 600. And that takes maybe about 8 or 10 minutes per pizza, but we'll get into that. You'll see in a minute how we do all that too. All right, so our dough's all ready now. It's been about 3.5 hours. So basically this is what you want. It's almost doubled in size here. So it's perfect. We can go ahead. I'm just gonna do one now, and then I won't record the other ones, but we'll just do this one just to show you how I like to do it. So we got a bit of our flour. Just keep a little bit of that on hand and sprinkle that around on our board. Something like that. Basically all you want. Might even be a bit much, that's okay. So you just got to be really gentle with this. You don't want to overwork it. So you just carefully take it like that. And then you're just moving the flour around a bit. Same thing on the other side. Flip it, and then flip it back over. And then you're just pressing it out with your fingers. I don't like using a roller or anything like that. I find that just presses out all the air that you've just worked on getting into the dough itself. So I just like to do it by hand, just stretching it gently, just like this, and then just kind of working it in a circle, and then be able to get a nice shape. Just want to stretch it out. Something like this, right there. And you just want to kind of keep it moving on the board as much as you can. That's it. And then for the crust, I just like to go around, spin it, give it a little pinch on the corners, or not on the corners, but on the edges of the pizza. That'll kind of help you get a nice crust going. You'll see. Just keep kind of stretching it out. until you've got a decent circle formed for your pizza. So we want that flour under there, and then I like to build it kind of towards the edge of the board, because the board is actually going to be used as our pizza peel as well. So what we'll do is, I don't like, not that I don't like using pizza sauce, but I do like using this, it's a sweet basil marinara sauce. I find this has a little more flavor. It's kind of like a pizza sauce basically. So we're gonna do a couple tablespoons of that. Get that on there. And then we're just kind of working it around just like this. You don't want too much on there. You don't want to flood the pizza. It'll end up a big soupy mess if you put too much on. You just want a little bit. So we've got our sauce on there now. And you just kind of work it to the edges like that. And now we can go ahead and do our cheese. So I'm just using a mozzarella. We're just gonna do a basic pepperoni and cheese pizza for this one. And same thing, you don't want to put too much cheese on. You just want, you know, a decent little layer on here. Kind of keep that. You don't want to put too much pressure on the dough, on the board, anything. You want to keep this thing from sticking to the board at all. You don't want that. So, and then the pepperoni, I've learned this, it's fine to put it on now, but I find it's easier. You just take it out to the egg and then we'll put it on. That way when you're trying to move it off the board, it's not flying around. For presentation standpoint, it's easy, it takes 30 seconds or less. You just go around and put the pepperoni on right when we put it on the egg. So what I like to do is just get it moving like that. As you can see, you know, you just keep it moving, kind of balls up the flour underneath, which is perfect. So that's what we want. So now we're ready. We're gonna take the pepperoni and we're gonna go out to the egg. So we're gonna get set up out there in a second and we'll be good to go. Okay, so I've got the egg now. It's running about 650, a little bit hot, but once I open it up, it's gonna cool off for a second here. I like to use cornmeal. I'm a big fan of that. I don't really care about the parchment paper too much. I'm more of a cornmeal guy on my pizza anyway. So let's just see how we're looking here. Get a little burp, and then we're just gonna sprinkle on some cornmeal. Just like that. You don't need too much, kind of windy, so I gotta move quick, otherwise it will all blow off. That's basically all we need. So I'll just shut this quick. I'm gonna go grab the pizza and then we'll throw it on. All right, so we got our pizza now, still on the board here. This will work. And then, like I said, you want to keep that thing moving. So that's all there is to it. It's actually super easy. And we just go gently, get it off the board. And like I said, now we're gonna take our pepperonis and we're just gonna quickly get those on there. It doesn't take long. So we'll do this, and then from here, we're gonna go about 4 or 5 minutes, I would say. And then we'll start spinning it, moving it around, and we'll see how it's looking. So this is much easier with the pepperoni, just doing it like this. So we'll shut it. Like I said, 4 or 5 minutes. We're gonna run on 550, 600 degrees Fahrenheit in the egg, and then just spin it, and away we go. All right, so we're rolling here, 600 degrees still. Now it's been about 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And this is where we're gonna go ahead and take a quick look and see how we're making out. So as you can see, we're forming a nice crispy dough, and we can start slowly and carefully just spinning this thing around a little bit, and we shut it. And then we'll go back probably another 4 or 5 minutes. And from there, we should be pretty close. I know it's cold today, so every time I open it, I'm losing a lot of heat. So I think maybe this one might take a little bit longer. It'll probably be closer to 12 minutes on this, I would assume. just because I am opening it and it's so cold out. But the idea is there. It's been about 5 more minutes since we last taken a look there. I will say I don't really like gauging it off of time as much as I do, you know, taking a look at it and seeing where it's at. If it looks good, that's more important than the time itself. But just as a general gauge, yeah, you're looking at about anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes for a pizza coming off of here at these temperatures. So let's see if you can see that. So this one's looking really good. Got a nice brown crust going on. Looks fantastic. So we're about ready to pull this thing off. I think this one's done now. Crust is nice, it's still soft, but nice and crispy on the outside. Everything's cooked. So we can go ahead and take this off now. And that's basically what you want. Beautiful looking pizza. Hot off the big green egg. So I'm gonna put it on my plate here. And like I said, I'm just gonna do the other ones. I'm not gonna record them, but that's basically it. So thank you for following along. If you made it this far into the video, I'm glad you followed along. I hope this helps you with your pizza tips. Anything you need, you can reach out to me. You can message me and let me know any questions you have regarding pizza. I'm happy to help you. So thank you. Cheers.